Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Herschenberger and this is going to be another lore video, but this time on Little Nightmares 2. And man, I hope you guys like listening to me talk because it's all these videos are. And a little bit are, a little bit. But without further ado everybody, wait, actually, no, hold on. My friend got me a fugly. I think that's what they're called anyways, but yeah, that's that. They're cool. I like them. I shaved them a little bit. You see his little stomach right there? It's like missing hair. So is his arm. I shaved it to make him look fugglier. Anyways, and then my other friend made a tongue for him. But yeah, without further ado, everybody, let's get into the video. Okay, so Little Nightmares 2 takes places in two areas. Number one, you get the forest, which is far away from the TV's tower's corruption. I'm not on the marker. The TV tower's corruption is far away from it. You know, this is the TV tower right here, and then you got all the way this way. You got the forest, and the forest is indicated by this awesome, super cool, amazing looking tree right here. If you can't see that, and I'll add some extra little like details, make it more detailed. You got a little thing right there, and those squirrels, because I can't draw a squirrel. But for all intents and purposes, this stick man right here is a squirrel. Where am I going with this? I don't remember. Anyway, so you got the Pale City, and then you got the forest. And initially, in the beginning of the game, Mono and Six, which are these guys right here, Mono and Six, and now they're here. They're doing great. They're in the forest, and then they encounter the first character that we meet in this game, or enemy, whatever, the Hunter. And he resides in the forest, like I said. And assuming, well, this is, assumptions, right? The TV tower is right here, far away from him. So everybody, in that Little Nightmares community or whatever, or it may be confirmed, I don't know, but we're assuming he fled the Pale City, went to the forest to hide away, and he became a hunter and a taxidermy guy. But everybody thinks the corruption already got to him because you see this little mask right here. That's why he wears the mask, to either hide it or prevent further, distortion from the TV tower. So TV tower, that guy, TV tower, that guy, TV tower, that guy, that whole thing, right? And eventually, at some point, Mono comes in here and he's like, "Hey, I don't like you," and then the hunter's like, blah 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 blah, whatever. I don't know how to move him again after he's already set. He's set in one spot and Canvas doesn't like to let me move him again. Anyways, he's mad, so he's trying to kill Mono. Mono's gone. So he tries to kill Mono, and Mono says no. And he kills the hunter, and, they're out of the forest. Now, the next place we find these two guys in, or guys and girls, this is a girl, this is a guy, whatever. You already knew that. Just had to, throw it out there. Anyways, the next place you find these people is the Pale City. So they make their way to the Pale City, and the Pale City is, well, you can tell it's being very influenced by the TV tower's corruption, and I'll show you a picture of what I mean. So this is what I'm talking about. See, everything is like bending inwards. Everything is like succumbing to the TV towers, corruption, like signal and outputs just distorts and just like messes up everything. You know what I mean? Like everything. TV tower bad. Pale City bad. Everything in the Pale City bad. Moving on. At some point along the way, Mono and Six find the school, which is like the second area of the game. And in the school, you have these guys. They're called the bullies. They're these little porcelain dolls that are meant to represent children in, school and real life. And yeah, there's something else I was going to say about that. But anyways, you got these guys, and then also they find the teacher, and the teacher, she's got this, long neck thing going on, whatever this is, she's all stinky and whatnot. And so she pretty much looks over the kids and disciplines them, and, as teachers do, just in a more gross face looking way. So you got the teacher and then the bullies. That's the next two characters in this game. Yeah. And now, so the teacher, how I was talking about the whole TV tower corruption thing, like all bad and red and nasty. The teacher's like that for the same reason the buildings are. Everything that's in the influence of the TV tower gets corrupted in some kind of way because the TV tower is draining the life and everything from anything it can get its hands on. So that's why everything looks like it does. Like I said, TV tower, equals bad. So no go on that. So after Mono and Six escape from the school, which they eventually do, they don't kill the teacher, but they do get away from her, and Mono smacks around a few of those bullies, all that whatnot. And so next they find the hospital, which I believe the first enemy you encounter is actually a bunch of hands. They look nothing more than this. It's just hands. Very mean, bad hands. This is how do you draw an upside down thumb? Hold on, I'm going to attempt to. Bad. This right here. These are bad. You just get them out of here. That's the first enemy. And I'll explain how they were created and all that whatnot in a sec. The next enemies in the game are these guys. They're just like sentient mannequins that can walk around. And so if you don't have a flashlight, which flashlights look like this, that also kind of looks like a wiener. Maybe I'm just really dirty minded. That also looks like a wiener. Okay, anyways, a square is a flashlight. You see the beams coming out right here? That's a flashlight. And if you don't have a flashlight, then they come and they get you and they grab you places you don't want to be grabbed. So these guys also really thumbs down bad. Got it? Good. In a second, I will explain why these guys right here are why they are. Finally, the man behind it all, the doctor. You got him. And legit, this is what he does in the game. That's him. That's what the doctor does. And he, before the TV tower and all that, was just a doctor that was helping people, like with prosthetics and stuff like that. And then the TV tower, let's go ahead and draw that back up. TV tower was like, no, and like corrupted him with its corruption and stuff like that. So now it's all red and stinky too. And now he just makes sentient mannequins and sentient hands that try to kill Mono and Six. So he's bad, but it's okay because in the end, they find one of these. This is our cremation chamber. Mono opens it up. This is the little door. He goes in here. Hold on, I'll get another file of him real quick so I can properly show you how this happens. He climbs in, and then Mono closes the door, and then he's like, ah, ma, ma, ma. Okay, so in Six and Mono's endeavors throughout this whole thing, they find TVs. And in that TV, Mono is able to hold on, I'll show you. This is Mono, right? You got Mono here, and he's like, ooh, oh, and he sees the TV, these are his eyeballs, stuff like that, right? And he's like, oh, TV, woo, woo. And then, he goes into the TV, and in this is what essentially he's going towards. He's being called to a door. So throughout all these times, he's found a couple of TV that, when I said found, that sounded weird. I didn't like that. He's found these TVs and he's gone into them because something's calling him, but every time Six pulls him out. So, not there yet. But after the whole doctor incident, manages to find another TV and he goes to it, but this time he goes through the door, and in the door he finds a character known as the Tall Man, and the Tall Man is sitting in a chair behind that door, and then he starts to chase Mono. So Mono's like, I gotta get out of here. So he manages to get out, and so, but also he also gets out and starts chasing Mono. He's like, oh, come here, Mono. I'm gonna get you, Mono. I'm gonna. He doesn't get Mono, but he does get Six. So Mono's alone now, right? No more Six. Six is big old X. X, 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 all the X's. All the X's. And maybe a little wiener to go on the side. That is an alien, not a wiener. Alright, so now Mono has to find a way to get Six. So he is working his way to the TV tower itself to get in there and find where Six went because he knows, I don't know how, but he knows that's where it is, right? So, in his journey, he finds these people. Now, these people, you see their face. Hold on. Like I do everything, I got to circle it. You see their face. it's all smushed in and warped and stuff like that because the TV tower is doing that to these people. It's just draining them. That's why everybody in the Pale City is weird looking, just like these guys. And they are drawn to the TVs. Anywhere there's a TV, they'll literally jump off balconies for these TVs, right? Because they're so drawn to this source, the signal, that they'll kill themselves. And my interpretation of this is, you see how they're slowly like forming into themselves. I think they're just like withering away. And I also think this because places like this, I know you can't see it that well. It's a very crude image, but I couldn't really find a good one. Now, I get these are all on clothes hangers and stuff like that, but when you're going down the street in the game, you'll find clothes on benches and just seats, like the people just disintegrated away. And if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. And so that's my interpretation of it. The TV tower is like melting these people away and just like consuming them entirely, and their clothes are just left there once they're gone. So that's, the next part where Mono is. The thin man, the tall guy, right here, this guy, starts chasing Mono, which looks about like this. Yeah, come here, Mono. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you, Mono. I'm going to get you. Come here, boy. Like that. And he does catch up with Mono at some point, and Mono uses his powers that kind of become more relevant at this point, or noticeable, I guess you could say. And he pretty much kills the Thin Man. So Mono alive, Thin Man not alive. You know what I mean? So Mono is all, yeah, and this guy right here, he's all, no. Why'd I draw a 2? In my mind, drawing a 2 was a thumbs down. Anyways, no. No good. He's dead, right? Eventually, Mono finds his way into the TV tower itself. So that's where we are. Mono makes his way through the TV tower, right? And he eventually does find Six, but this time she is much different. She looks like this. And I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at her arm a little closely, you can see how it's not normal at all. Like, you see, like, I know it's hard to tell that she's a little weird looking now, but even, like, in her fingers, like, look at how long these things are. And, like, even her legs, like, your leg's not supposed to have been like that. It's small things that, let you know that she has been corrupted by the TV tower. And she is holding a music box or of some sort, right? And that seems to be the conduit for her and the TV tower's power. I don't know if I use the word conduit right, but that's what I take of it, right? So Six is turned into this, but she's still normal Six until Mono realizes, hey, I need to break this, and then he goes, bam, and then he'll, wow. Mono does break that, and then Six turns back to her normal self, so it's all big check marks from here. All yeses, all yeses, all yeses, all yeses, and yeses. Right? So we're good. But in that time, the TV tower starts collapsing around them, trying to either encase them or something's just gone wrong. So they start to run. And they run, and, they're running, and then they make it to this point right here. And as you can see, Six has dropped Mono. Why? I'll tell you in a little bit. But yeah, so they make it there, and Six is like, oh, I'm a big stinky person, blah, 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 I'm all evil now, and she drops Mono, and then Mono falls to the bottom of this pit, where he finds a chair. And then the game shows him, sitting in that chair, and he gets bigger and bigger until he turns into the tall man. So Mono was a tall man all along, right? That's what that is. Mono was a tall man the whole time. He was chasing himself, and I don't know if it was to stop him or to stop the cycle from happening, because this whole thing is just one big loop, which I'll elaborate on further. But yeah, so Mono's the tall man, like I've said 7 other times. And so the time loop, the whole time loop thing. So you got Mono, right? And this is time. And Mono is stuck in this big time loop. There's a big time loop, and Mono's stuck in it. The whole world is revolving around a time loop for this event to keep happening. So the TV tower can drain the power from Mono, because Mono is this, magical little turd or whatever, right? And so the TV tower keeps making this loop recur and recur again. And then that also leads to the events of Little Nightmares 1, because this is a prequel in a way, right? So that's pretty much that. But one more thing. The whole reason, little Six right here turned evil is because Six has a shadow side, I think they called it, or something like that. It's pretty much just her impulsive thoughts and all of the dark things that have been brought onto her because of this, world that she lives in, is why she is the way she is in the TV tower. Kind of, did a little, hold on, I gotta draw a TV tower again. You got your little TV tower right here. And it was like, ooh, Six, I see all the bad sides of you. Let me just come over here and blah, 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 blah. And so Six is evil now, and she goes on to lead to the events of Little Nightmares 1, like I said before. And that is pretty much it. So to sum it all up, all this is pretty much just one big time loop that just keeps reoccurring again. And the TV tower is the main thing that's keeping it going. It's twisting everything to its own reality, shaping it everything to its, will and all that, and draining everything of its life. That's why everybody is so twisted and, whatever they are, the way they are. And yeah. Anyways, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a good time while you're here. Let me know if I need to do anything differently with these videos, but I'm going to end that one here. So, bye-bye.